Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 10 551, A Gathering of Heroes. 10th of Volume 6. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Tang Wanzhou followed Li Wei all the way to the foot of blazing absolute Yanzhu Mountain. I heard you defeated a holy spiritual master and seized his palace pavilion. This Shaoyang division master intends to pay a visit and see what kind of divine treasure this place truly is. Li Wei's mind immediately drifted to Yuer, who might already have prepared dinner. He fell into deep thought. Could this be kept secret? Tang Wanzhou smiled. Why such a troubled expression? You don't seem very welcoming. Are you hiding a beauty in a golden cage? Even if you are, it's fine. I'm not Zuoqiu Hongting. I understand a man's romantic inclinations, but one must maintain dignity and responsibility. You're not actually hiding someone, are you? I am hiding someone. Li Wei decided not to conceal the truth, but it's not a beauty in a golden cage, it's jade hidden in a humble abode. Enough joking around. Tang Wanzhou said, her tone turning serious. I'm recruiting 2 spiritual masters for the Shaoyang division. I'll head to the spiritual master guard camp first. Wait for me a while. Once the Shaoyang division is established, we'll go to Dragon City together. Tang Wanzhou assumed Li Wei was joking and didn't take him seriously. She turned and began climbing the mountain. 3 days later. The moon hung high in the sky, veiled by low-lying clouds that obscured most of the stars. Li Wei had been living in Clear Sound Qingyan Pavilion for nearly half a month, dedicating all his energy to condensing his heavenly surge soul. Soul condensation was proving increasingly difficult. Even with the cocoon of time and the Shaoyang star, he had only managed to condense it to 80%. Yuer, I'm going out. Stay here and be good, Li Wei said, changing into his spiritual artifact robes. Yuer, who was washing dishes, immediately frowned. Master, where are you going so late? The Shaoyang division is holding its first gathering tonight, Li Wei replied, straightening his collar. With a clatter, Yuer slammed the dishes into the sink, rolled up her sleeves to reveal her snow-white arms, and demanded, why are you changing into such fancy robes? Who are you trying to impress at this hour? Should I fix your hair for you? No need. Big Phoenix and Little Phoenix, guard the house well and take care of Yuer. With these instructions, Li Wei pushed open the door and left. Humans fear nothing more than habit. Once accustomed to something, even the Grand Palace Master washing dishes seemed acceptable. Yuer stood with her hands on her hips, her small face puffed up with anger. Dissatisfied with his attitude, she vowed to write it all down after finishing the dishes, nearly bursting with frustration. Li Wei spotted a graceful, azure figure ahead on the path along the stream and quickly caught up. Captain, were you also recruited into the Shaoyang division? A hazy mist enveloped Qing Zijin. Despite cultivating the sun's sacred radiance, her aura radiated intense yin qi, sending a chill through the air as he approached. Li Wei sensed the 13 desiccated corpses within the mist, though they remained invisible to the naked eye. Have you considered my offer? Will you lend me the spear? She asked. Since you're a deputy valiant guard and new recruits can't leave the camp for 3 years, I'm not worried about you running off. Li Wei replied, a 6,000-year-old millennial essence herb. You dare to ask for something even great immortal realm experts couldn't obtain. Qing Zijin countered. The truth is, I'm not interested in anything else. Li Wei insisted, others might not be able to get it, but I have a feeling you're different. I can't get it. The pair walked in silence until they reached a narrow gorge. Moonlight couldn't penetrate the deep ravine, leaving it shrouded in darkness. Jagged cliffs lined with ancient carvings rose on either side, occasionally revealing spirit trees emitting an eerie glow. From afar, the delicate, melodious strains of a pipa drifted intermittently from within the gorge. Brother Wei, you moved out of barracks number 36 without a word. I went to find you, only to discover you were gone. And who is this? Changyu Jian stood gracefully by the stream, his peerless elegance evident in every perfectly arranged strand of hair. His gaze settled on Qing Zijin, who had accompanied Li Wei. Li Wei introduced her. This is Qing Zijin, Deputy Valiant Guard of the Spiritual Master Guard, the renowned beauty Qing. Captain, this is Changyu Jian, the Jade Sword Immortal of Chong Lake, widely considered the foremost sentinel of this generation. Qing Zijin strode deeper into the mountain valley. Changyu Jian glanced at Li Wei with a puzzled expression. Just get used to it, Li Wei said. She doesn't talk much, but she's not mute. Ahead, Qing Zijin's hands clenched tightly in her sleeves. Her earlier displeasure hadn't stemmed from any animosity toward Changyu Jian, but rather from Li Wei's excessive flattery during the introduction, which made her feel teased. Changyu Jian walked alongside Li Wei. Brother Wei, you've been hiding your true strength well. I've already heard about your battle with Shui Yukai. You showed me considerable respect on the martial mystic arena planes. Your ability to control your power and temperament so effortlessly marks you as a true master. Li Wei offered a modest reply before asking curiously, Brother Chong, now that you've broken through to Immortal Realm, do you feel confident facing opponents in the second realm? It had always been said that within the Immortal Realm, only true disciples of the ancient sect could transcend cultivation realms to defeat their foes. Changyu Jian, having cultivated the immortal body as the young heavenly emperor, was undoubtedly a figure of that caliber. Changyu Jian's expression turned solemn. I've heard that Brother Wei's cultivation has only spanned a few years, which is truly astonishing. However, I suspect this is why you greatly underestimate the vast gulf between each realm in the immortal realm. It's precisely because the gap is so immense that the concept of great immortal exists. As spiritual masters, you can break through to the first realm of Holy Spiritual Master by condensing your 10th spiritual power star. But to reach the second realm, you must cultivate 20 spiritual power stars. Such a disparity requires decades of arduous cultivation to overcome. The Calamity Crossing Temple rewarded me with Dragon Soul Origin Light, a single wisp of which can save 10 years of cultivation. For now, I can claim to be nearly unrivaled in the first realm. As my cultivation deepens, I'm confident I can challenge the second realm. But defeating someone in the second realm, that's a task of unimaginable difficulty. Soon after, they encountered Lu Qing and Lu Yi. Lu Qing asked, Yuan Zhen didn't come. Changyu Jian replied, he was definitely invited. As far as I know, the Holy Master invited the top 3 from the Sentinel New Recruit Assessment, 2 valiant guards from the Spiritual Master Guard, and Brother Wei, who topped the merit leaderboard. The remaining 6 invitees were martial mystic cultivators who participated in the Sentinel Spirit Assessment. Lu Qing said, Chu Yudian's 12 Tai Yin envoys are no ordinary opponents. Each of them is a young powerhouse in the immortal realm with at least 20 years of fame. Even the weakest among them, Xie Wumian and Luo Pingdan, have reached the second realm. We have a long way to go to catch up. It was precisely because they were the weakest among the 12 Tai Yin envoys that the task of assassinating Lu Jingshan had fallen to them. Lu Yi asked, Brother Wei, I heard you've clashed with them before. I wouldn't call it a clash, more like a desperate escape. Without help, I wouldn't have survived, Li Wei admitted truthfully. That's how it was back then. Li Wei was confident that with his current strength, he could at least escape if he encountered one of them again. A cold, youthful voice echoed through the darkness, boosting others' morale while undermining your own. If you're afraid, you shouldn't have joined the Shaoyang division. We could have recruited sentinel spirits with stronger cultivation. A 16 or 17-year-old youth with a massive crescent moon mark on his forehead sneered as he strode past them. The mere force of his aura nearly knocked the 4 off their feet. After the youth's figure disappeared into the distance, Changyu Jian whispered, he's from the Black Moon Clan, a major clan in the Demon Kingdom. They finally arrived at the gathering place. The Black Moon Clan youth stood by the pool, his gaze fixed on the moon's reflection in the water, his eyes gleaming with fascination. Qing Zijin stood beneath a tree, enveloped in a misty glow. In a nearby pavilion, a young Taoist and a young scholar were playing Go under the lamplight. The sound of a pipa drifted through the air, its notes continuous yet untraceable. The player, hidden by peerless cultivation, remained unseen. Boom. Boom. The valley trembled as a massive earthquake shook the land. From the valley entrance, an aberrant human martial mystic cultivator, towering 6 to 7 meters tall, strode forward. Retaining a humanoid appearance, his body was a mass of rippling muscles, his eyes burned like torches, and his vital points, the chest, ancestral field, wind mansion, qi, and 9 springs, were all armored. His aura surged like a tidal wave, his cultivation profound, and his intent erupted, filling the valley with oppressive force. He roared, what holy master nonsense. I heard he is only at the second realm. Who knows what level he is really at? Is he even worthy to face Chu Yudian? I haven't fought him, so I refuse to acknowledge him. The martial mystic cultivators present struggled under the weight of his aura, gasping for breath as their internal organs felt like they were being crushed. A Black Moon Clan youth sneered, why don't we just let Kai Haohan be the holy master? You're at the third realm, so you must be Chu Yudian's match. Fine, I'll do it, Kai Haohan retorted. The Black Moon Clan youth smirked. With a whoosh, his finger shot out at a speed beyond the naked eye, striking Kai Haohan's forehead. It was the only vulnerable point on his massive body, unprotected by armor. Whoosh. The Black Moon Clan youth struck the center of the giant's forehead, but his expression twisted as his strength drained away, leaving him powerless. Glancing down, he saw Kai Haohan's massive hand gripping his waist. Did you really think my size made me slow? Kai Haohan roared, flinging the youth toward a distant pavilion bathed in lantern light. Inside the pavilion, 2 figures were engrossed in a game of chess. Only the young Taoist casually flicked out a wisp of azure spiritual qi, catching the hurtling youth midair. Cushioned by the spiritual qi azure cloud, the Black Moon Clan youth steadied himself outside the pavilion, landing gracefully on the ground. His face was slightly pale as he regarded Kai Haohan with newfound wariness. I've always kept the Holy Master position open for anyone who wants it. Come and fight for it if you dare. But first, you must defeat me. Tang Wanzhou's imposing figure materialized above the canyon, silhouetted against the bright moon. Her voice echoed through the entire gorge, carrying with it an aura of indomitable might. In the next instant, she appeared above the crowd, her right hand forming a sword seal with 2 fingers as she slashed downward. A phantom sword chi blade, tens of meters long, descended upon Kai Haohan's head, its immense pressure and razor-sharp edge threatening to cleave the earth itself. Ow! Kai Haohan roared, his voice like thunder, sending Li Wei, Cheng Yujian, Lu Qing, Lu Yi, and Qing Zijin flying backward or staggering away, blood streaming from their ears as the sound tore through their eardrums. The formation's light flared to life within the canyon. Boom! The earth trembled again as Kai Haohan raised his arms, his blood surging, and scriptures blazing across his armor. Yet he couldn't withstand the force, the sword chi pressed him to one knee. Snow swirled wildly, and the sword chi howled. In an instant, the canyon was blanketed in a blinding white. Boom! Tang Wanzhou struck Kai Haohan's massive body with a palm strike, sending him crashing into the cliff face. Collapsing rubble buried him. She turned to face the crowd. Anyone else who dares to challenge me. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Melworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 11 552 Awakening Guard Token. 11th of Volume 6. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. I refuse to concede. With a thunderous roar, Kai Haohan's colossal frame leapt from the cliff face. Scriptures flickered across his dark crimson skin, as if flames burned within his body. You didn't break my defenses. I haven't lost yet. The assembled crowd was stunned, finding it unbelievable. The behemoth's defensive power was astonishing, he had withstood Tang Wanzhou's sword strike and palm strike, yet remained as vigorous as ever. Tang Wanzhou's eyes narrowed, a cold glint escaping her gaze. A piercing sword clang echoed through the valley. The divine snow sword flew from her ancestral field and landed in her hand. Kai Haohan hastily retreated, declaring, I'm done fighting. Though I refuse to concede, I acknowledge you as the Shaoyang division leader for now, given you've managed to fight me to a standstill in the second realm. However, with your current strength, you're no match for Chu Yudian. The 5 newly breakthrough young experts, who had been sent flying backward, wore solemn expressions. They now fully grasped the vast gulf between themselves and Third Immortal Realm martial mystic cultivators, and the terrifying power of Tang Wanzhou. Kai Haohan only recently broke his third immortal shackle, but his selection for the Shaoyang division proves his combat prowess is extraordinary, Chang Yujian said with a wry smile, yet against Tang Wanzhou in the second realm, he seemed utterly helpless. I doubt I could ever achieve such combat strength in the second realm. Lu Yi added, if she hadn't come to the Cave Void Dongshu camp, she would have been directly appointed as the new scholar of the Sword Dao Imperial Court, bypassing the trials altogether. Such a remarkable woman is unparalleled even across all of Yingzhou. I wholeheartedly concede. From the direction of the valley entrance, a light, melodious voice carried on the wind, I apologize. I failed to maintain control of the defensive formation. All eyes turned toward the source of the voice, especially the male martial mystic cultivators present, whose souls seemed to be drawn by its enchanting timbre, stirring ripples of emotion in their hearts. These were the heavens chosen, masters of the immortal realm, yet they had never imagined a voice could possess such power. A mile downstream, a radiant white light shimmered like the misty waves of an immortal sea. Within the luminous rosy mist stood a peerless figure, her raven hair cascading like a painted scroll. Countless white birds circled around her, framing her jade-like skin and bone. Beneath her sat a mythical creature with the head of a dragon, the body of a deer, and a tail resembling that of a phoenix. She had been the one maintaining the defensive formation in the canyon until Tang Wanzhou's palm strike sent Kai Haohan's colossal body hurtling through the formation light veil, causing the canyon to collapse. Pure light flame. She's the Nangong family's spiritual master guard, Wei Xiaowei. What's her full name? I don't know. The merit ranking only lists her surname. We know she's from the Holy Temple Life Realm. My clan's ancestors once mentioned that an ancient clan resides in seclusion there, warning us to avoid arrogance when visiting and suggesting she might be connected to them, Lu Qing explained. Impressive. To withstand a third realm clash with a first realm holy spiritual master's formation and prevent significant damage is remarkable. Chang Yujian said, Shui Yukai possesses extraordinary talent, earning him the title of child prodigy in the demon kingdom. I initially believed he would easily claim first place in the spiritual master guard, yet he only secured third. This should underscore the weight of achieving first place in the spiritual master examination. You've done exceptionally well, Tang Wanzhou said, her aura radiating unparalleled authority as she offered her rare praise. For the proud Tang Wanzhou to utter, exceptionally well, was a compliment second only to her assessment of Chu Yudian. The flying snow continued unabated, blanketing the branches of every plant in the valley and the heads of all cultivators. No more waiting. Since the designated time has passed, we'll consider those who haven't arrived as declining to join the Shaoyang division. We'll select replacements later. Tang Wanzhou cut straight to the point. All of you possess extraordinary backgrounds and are likely aware of recent events and the reasons for establishing the Shaoyang division. I won't belabor the details. The Deputy Sentinel Lord has granted us 40 years to restore the Cave Void Dongshu camp's reputation. But I refuse to wait that long. I've pledged to eliminate at least half of the Tai Yin envoys within 20 years, claim Chu Yudian's head, and make the Tai Yin sect's martial mystic cultivators tremble in fear at the mere mention of the Shaoyang division. In the pavilion, the scholar paused his game of Go. 20 years. Isn't that too aggressive? Cultivation shouldn't be a fleeting contest of pride, but a grounded, gradual process. Each step must be taken with care. Impatience breeds recklessness, and recklessness degrades one's mental state, inevitably leading to failure. This is a generational struggle, the Taoist countered. I believe completing our mission before the next sentinel recruitment would suffice. 20 years is indeed too aggressive. Tang Wanzhou retorted, 20 years is considered aggressive. In 6 years, the 100 realms of Immortal will open, and the crossing the other shore competition will begin. When I initially proposed resolving this within 6 years to the Deputy Sentinel Lord, he dismissed it as too hasty. 6 years will vanish in an instant, far too short to prevail, the pavilion Taoist said. What if we had sufficient dragon soul source light? Tang Wanzhou asked. The eyes of every martial mystic cultivator present lit up. The Sentinel Lord participated in excavating the ancient immortal dragon remains, Tang Wanzhou continued, and secured a portion of dragon soul source light and immortal dragon blood. I've obtained all of it for the Shaoyang division. Furthermore, all training grounds within the nether realm of the dead are now open to the Shaoyang division, provided you dare to enter and aren't afraid to die within. Does that include the ancient kingdom's ruins? A youth from the Ink Moon clan asked. Within the Cave Void Dongshu camp's surveillance range, all cities, sects, ancient kingdoms, ancestral sites, forbidden zones, and any other locations I deem worthy of cultivation can be accessed. Tang Wanzhou added, Chu Yudian's 12 Tai Yin envoys are named after the 12 two-hour periods of the day. To surpass him, our Shaoyang division's 12 members will be named after the 12 months of the year. Kai Haohan protested, what kind of names are those? First month envoy, second month envoy. That's terribly inauspicious. The pavilion Taoist suggested, let's use the 24 solar terms as our titles. We can publicly claim to have 24 members, misleading our opponents. Agreed. Tang Wanzhou approved. The discussion continued late into the night. Li Wei received a wisp of dragon soul source light and returned to the clear sound Qingyant pavilion. To obtain more dragon soul source light in the future, he would need to rank among the top 6 in each assessment. Those who failed to reach the top 6 would be sent to the nether realm of the dead or the heavenly fire world for rigorous cultivation. Another half-month passed. Tang Wanzhou finally settled all affairs of the Shaoyang division. Playing with the awakening Holy Guard token in her hand, she arrived outside the clear sound Qingyant pavilion, ready to depart for Dragon City with Li Wei. Upon seeing her approach, Big Phoenix, who was guarding the pavilion, immediately deactivated the defensive formation and swooped down to greet her. Big Phoenix, you've grown so much. Did you break through to Immortal Realm? Tang Wanzhou asked in astonishment, catching it with one arm. Having consumed a 6,000-year-old essence herb, Big Phoenix now radiated extraordinary splendor. Its body stretched 3 feet long, its twin wings shimmering with iridescent hues, indistinguishable from true phoenix feathers. The membranous wings glowed with golden light, their edges as thin and sharp as blades, radiating a terrifying sharpness. Being able to activate the formation, its wisdom had naturally increased greatly. All 64 true spiritual pills had been sold, and the proceeds were used to purchase 2 6,000-year-old Millennium Essence herbs, which were fed to Big Phoenix and Second Phoenix respectively. For a young martial mystic cultivator in the Immortal Realm, possessing 10 million Xuanhuan coins was considered wealthy. Yet a single 6,000-year-old Millennium Essence herbs cost 60 million Xuanhuan coins. Such treasures could only be easily acquired at the Cave Void Dongshu camp. Only Li Wei, who controlled free access to the Fusong Divine Tree's extreme daybreak light dew and Zaihe's resources, dared to feed his creatures with such extravagance. Big Phoenix, who are you talking to? Yuer asked, her hair tied in 2 small braids as she emerged from the medicine field with a bamboo basket filled with fruits and vegetables. Her gaze fell upon Tang Wanzhou standing in the courtyard. Their eyes met. One was shocked, the other astonished. Yuer was naturally astonished. Her master had explicitly warned her never to open the formation and let anyone in. She recognized Tang Wanzhou as the young lord of the Northern Territory, a close friend of her master. She quickly offered a polite bow, only to see the young lord of the Northern Territory return the gesture with a clasped fist bow. Yuer's appearance had changed dramatically since their last meeting in the East Sea, though traces of her former self remained. Just as Tang Wanzhou was about to shout out, Grand Palace Master, Li Wei, who had been in seclusion within the blood mud space, heard Second Phoenix's urgent call and emerged in time. Young lord, come with me. Let's talk first. Li Wei called out from afar. Second Phoenix whispered in his ear, Big Phoenix let her in. I couldn't stop him. Li Wei glared fiercely at Big Phoenix, then grabbed Tang Wanzhou and hurried away, simultaneously using telepathy to explain the Grand Palace Master's situation and the reasons behind it. Having been exposed to the Six Thoughts Divine Mind curse waves in the underground immortal mansion, Tang Wanzhou had already suspected something. Yuer's sudden appearance, now much older, had truly stunned her. Gradually, Tang Wanzhou calmed down. You should have told me sooner, she said. I told you long ago. Li Wei said. Tang Wanzhou recalled the events, her chi momentarily stagnating. What do we do now? First, we go to Dragon City. I must break through to become a holy spiritual master as soon as possible, Li Wei replied. In the distance, Yuer tilted her head, gazing at the whispering pair. Master, she called out, should I add more food for the young lord? Tang Wanzhou looked at Li Wei in astonishment. The Grand Palace Master cooks for you every day. Do you truly not know her legends? Do you see her as just a little girl? Once she recovers, she'll likely retain her current memories. I advise you to show some respect, or you'll suffer later. She insists on doing things herself. What can I do? I'm walking on thin ice, Li Wei said. Yuer approached cautiously, a bamboo basket slung over her arm. Her large, round eyes seemed to be pondering something. Master, do you two have so much to talk about? The young lord is an honored guest. We'll have a feast today, Li Wei said, forcing a smile as he accepted the awakening Jingjie Holy Guard token from Tang Wanzhou and hurried toward her. It was noon. Li Wei and Tang Wanzhou had used spatial teleportation to arrive at a restaurant in the Moon Dragon Island Sea Market, tens of thousands of miles away. The table was laden with delicious seafood. They retrieved Yuer from the blood mud space. Li Wei used the transformation technique to affix a beard, adopting the appearance of a man in his 30s. Tang Wanzhou and Yuer disguised themselves as well, posing as a family of three. Li Wei had no appetite, silently calculating the cost of the teleportation. Such a long-distance teleport was exceedingly expensive, a round trip could cost as much as the entire fortune of a newly ascended Immortal Realm martial mystic cultivator. If Lu Jingshan failed to obtain the holy spiritual pill, the loss would be catastrophic. Tang Wanzhou, watching Yuer devour her meal with gusto, transmitted telepathically, the Grand Palace Master doesn't want to stay in the blood mud space. Why not let her travel with us? Carrying a little girl so openly will only make people think you're bluffing, rather than believing she's the Grand Palace Master. Or perhaps you'd prefer she stay with me. Li Wei remained noncommittal, asking, what business does the young lord have in Dragon City? To kill. Tang Wanzhou continued, among the 12 Tai Yin envoys, Xuanhuan and Wei are the most formidable. Intelligence gathered half a month ago indicates that Xuanhu envoy, Qin Zhengyang will travel to Dragon City during the Lantern Festival to deliver a secret treasure from the Nether Realm of the Dead to the true disciple of Rice Palace. If we seize this opportunity to eliminate him, the Cave Void Dongshu camp can stage a spectacular comeback. Li Wei frowned. How reliable is this intelligence? Could it be a trap set by the enemy? I only know one thing. If we completely disregard intelligence, the entire Cave Void Dongshu camp will become blind and deaf. Tang Wanzhou added, whether it's a trap, whether we strike, and whether we succeed, all that depends on my own judgment, discernment, and strength. If we can accomplish this feat despite our own doubts, it will instill unparalleled confidence in the newly established Shaoyang division, stabilize morale, and dispel the Cave Void Dongshu camp's fear of the enemy. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 12 553 New First Scholar. 12th of Volume 6. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Tang Wanzhou always carried an air of leadership, confident and composed, bold yet meticulous. She always knew her next move, which explained why everyone in the Northern Territory revered her as their ruler. Li Wei said, since the young lord is undertaking this mission to Dragon City, shouldn't the Cave Void Dongshu camp cover the blood crystal costs for the space teleportation? Tang Wanzhou smiled. I didn't report this to the Deputy Sentinel Lord, I'm acting on my own initiative. If I succeed and return with Qin Zhengyang's head, not only will the Cave Void Dongshu camp cover the space teleportation costs, but I can even request a 6,000-year-old essence herb as a reward. If I fail, I'll be reprimanded for my recklessness and face punishment. I can offer you some assistance, Li Wei said. Tang Wanzhou shook her head. This mission is too dangerous. It's a personal trial for my cultivation. Don't get involved. Once you break through to Immortal Realm, we can fight side by side, settling scores with satisfaction. But on the path of cultivation, I won't wait for you. You need to catch up quickly. Today was the 8th day of the Lunar New Year. A year had passed since the Battle of Lingxiao City. Moon Dragon Island thrived, teeming with demonic beasts and martial mystic cultivators who had smuggled themselves from other living realms, their attire as varied as their origins. Assassinating Qin Zhengyang was an exceedingly dangerous task. The 3 previous waves of assassins, their corpses now entombed in dozens of coffins, served as a grim reminder to Tang Wanzhou that this mission might well be a one-way trip. Having not cultivated the disguise technique, Tang Wanzhou wore a specially crafted mask that concealed her features and rendered her undetectable by psychic power. She had never resorted to such measures before, a testament to the gravity of this undertaking. The pair piloted their jade boat through the skies, heading toward Dragon City, 30,000 li away. Yuer was ultimately returned to the blood-mud space, this time at her own insistence. She had sensed the extreme caution of Li Wei and Tang Wanzhou, understanding the mission's inherent danger and refusing to become a burden. After the jade boat had flown over 2,000 li, a golden mist gradually materialized above the sea, and the heaven-earth spiritual qi grew increasingly dense. They had officially entered the maritime region where the immortal Dao dragon vein was reviving. Whoosh! A massive whirlpool churned on the sea surface, drawing aquatic demonic beasts to its edge, yet none dared to venture into the depths. Seabirds circled overhead, their cries filling the air. The jade boat hovered above the vortex. Li Wei turned to Tang Wanzhou behind him. Dare to explore the seabed with me. Is there something significant down there? Tang Wanzhou asked. Hold on tight. Li Wei steered the jade boat directly into the whirlpool. A white energy shield materialized around the vessel, formation scriptures flashing across its surface as it plunged into the depths. Even without activation, the vortex's currents would have dragged the boat into the abyss. Now that his cultivation had advanced significantly, Li Wei no longer feared being trapped. He intended to retrieve the Buddhist Dao imprint stone carving, if it still remained. Comprehending the Buddhist Dao imprint would greatly accelerate the refinement of his divine pivot Dao seed. Splash! The jade boat followed a submarine fissure, entering the subterranean space where Li Wei had once fallen with Wu Hongling. It emerged from a waterfall of seawater and streaked like a meteor toward the stone wall. Tang Wanzhou observed the subterranean environment, her eyes gleaming beneath her mask. The East Sea's depths truly conceal hidden realms. Could all 30,000 miles of the immortal Dao dragon vein harbor such underground spaces? Li Wei's eyes were fixed ahead, already spotting the stone carving on the cliff face. The carving depicted a humanoid creature with 2 heads, one ancient and weathered, the other youthful and smooth. Above its neck floated a Buddhist Dao imprint. Across the lava river, on the opposite cliff edge, stood a strikingly handsome figure with an air of sinister charm. He held a brush, meticulously sketching the stone carving onto specially prepared paper. His beauty leaned toward androgyny, with phoenix-shaped eyes, thin lips, and wide-sleeved robes. Yet there was no mistaking him for a woman disguised as a man. Around him lay dozens of rubbings of the stone carving, each rendered in different shades of ink. He was utterly absorbed in his work, seemingly oblivious to the 2 figures who had arrived on a jade boat. Li Wei stowed the jade boat, and he and Tang Wanzhou landed on the ground, striding forward. Tang Wanzhou surveyed the rubbings scattered across the clearing. This is intriguing. To find a living person in a place like this. And so many rubbings. Why not just scrape the entire stone wall off and take it with you? Hiss. The paper before the sinister man burst into flames the moment he finished the final stroke. In moments, it was reduced to ash. He felt somewhat discouraged. Even paper crafted from transcendent hide and 10,000-year spirit wood can't withstand it. Is rubbing really the only option? Tossing his brush aside, he turned to the 2 unexpected visitors, a man and a woman, and gestured for them to approach. If either of you can scrape down that stone carving, I'll pay any price. Is it really that remarkable? Tang Wanzhou murmured, her gaze fixed on the stone carving across the cliff. Her eyes finally settled on the Buddhist Dao imprint, and suddenly, a spiraling force surged into her soul, as if her consciousness were being churned. Her expression tightened, and she quickly averted her gaze, inwardly shocked. Such terrifying power. Is this a true scripture? Tang Wanzhou looked back, this time prepared. She formed a hand seal, steadied her mind, and used her intent to resist the Buddhist Dao imprint's destructive force, her gaze locked firmly on it. The sinister man's eyes widened in astonishment. The East Sea truly teems with experts. To withstand the impact of that mark on your consciousness, despite your wheel of years showing you're not even a jazi old. After a long moment, Tang Wanzhou withdrew her gaze, feeling slightly dizzy. Having recognized the stone carving as something extraordinary, Tang Wanzhou recovered her composure, formed the sword technique with 2 fingers, and unleashed a horizontal sword strike from afar, intending to excavate the carving. The sinister man smirked, swiftly retreating a step. He instantly shrank his height to a mere inch, gathered the dozens of rubbings from the ground, and reappeared 3 miles away. Crack! The sword chi struck the stone wall, leaving a deep gash and causing fragments to crumble. In the next instant, an invisible force erupted from the stone carving, sending Tang Wanzhou staggering backward. A bizarre phenomenon occurred. The sword mark she had just carved into the wall began to regenerate, the stone reforming to its original smoothness. What's wrong? Li Wei asked. Didn't you feel it? Tang Wanzhou replied. A surge of power just erupted from the stone wall. Li Wei shook his head. Tang Wanzhou turned back to the stone carving, sensing that the creature with the morning and evening heads seemed to have come alive. From her left and right ears, she heard mocking laughter, one ancient, the other youthful. It's an intent attack, she said, my intent has already been wounded. This place is strange, we need to leave immediately. I want to try something, Li Wei said. He knew Wu Hongling seemed wary of the carving, but he had never sensed any danger himself. Fearless, he flew directly toward the stone wall. Whoosh! The yellow dragon sword flew out and landed in Li Wei's hand. The sinister man stood at a distance, watching Li Wei, who was about to directly carve the stone carving, with a puzzled gaze. He thought Li Wei was courting death. A cruel smile crept across his lips as he quietly anticipated the impending tragedy. Shick! Li Wei thrust the sword into the rock at the edge of the stone carving. Immediately, the stone wall trembled slightly. The yellow dragon sword blazed with golden light, revealing 9 ancient characters that clashed against the unknown power emanating from the stone carving. Within the sword's body, dragons' roars echoed as wisps of 6 Jia-yang lightning surged forth. Seeing no further resistance, Li Wei slowly dragged the sword across the stone, beginning to carve it free. Both the sinister man and Tang Wanzhou were shaken. They had clearly sensed the stone carving resisting, yet the sword had suppressed it. Even the Buddhist Tao imprint seemed frozen in place. Before long, Li Wei had carved out the massive stone carving. It was incredibly heavy, several meters long and wide, and nearly half a meter thick. Boom! Li Wei hoisted the stone carving onto his shoulder and returned to the opposite cliff face, then stored it in his boundary pouch. Let's go. Hold on. The sinister man had materialized nearby, his movements ghostly and silent, revealing unfathomable cultivation. Li Wei summoned the jade boat and glanced at the man. Not for sale. The sinister man chuckled. Little one, didn't your elders teach you the wisdom of keeping your wealth hidden? I want more than just that stone carving, I want your sword too. Tang Wanzhou turned to Li Wei. Didn't you say you wanted to keep a low profile? How am I being high profile? I just dug out a piece of stone wall, Li Wei retorted. The sinister man vanished in a blur, instantly appearing before them. His 5 fingers extended, and 5 strands of spiritual chi erupted from his fingertips. Each strand was as sharp as a sword and as sinuous as a thread, enveloping Li Wei and Tang Wanzhou. Tang Wanzhou reacted swiftly, thrusting out a single finger. A piercing sword-like whistle echoed through the underground world, deafeningly shrill. The fingertip pierced through the spiritual chi in countless illusions, striking the center of the sinister man's palm with pinpoint accuracy. A thunderous boom erupted, sending shockwaves rolling outward and blasting the man backward. The sinister man retreated dozens of meters, flexing his aching hand. Impressive. Less than 60 years old, yet your strength is unfathomable. Tang Wanzhou's expression turned grave. She telepathically warned Li Wei, get out of here now. Her finger sword strike had only managed to push the man back, it hadn't even inflicted a scratch. Li Wei activated the jade boat, causing dense formation scriptures to materialize across its hull. Simultaneously, the yellow dragon sword in his hand erupted with another dragon's roar. Don't even think about leaving. Stay and face me. A sinister man radiated a dual-colored aura, half white, half black. The surrounding space mirrored this division, split into black and white halves, making him appear utterly malevolent as demonic energy surged from him. The Black and White Realm. You're Wenren Hai, the Demon Kingdom's new scholar. Tang Wanzhou's expression twisted. From her ancestral field, countless strands of sword chi erupted like a tidal wave, surging toward the charging Wenren Hai. Wenren Hai neither dodged nor blocked. He simply plowed through the sword chi with his body, scattering the energy. With a flick of his wrist, the Black and White Realm enveloped Tang Wanzhou, a swirling vortex of power threatening to crush her. Tang Wanzhou felt as insignificant as an ant beneath the descending, colossal hand of the heavens. Whoosh! She slashed her sword toward the sky, unleashing the ultimate technique from the 14 swords of immortal slaughter and divine snow, immortal slaughter of all beings. The sword chi, like a silver river, tore through the Black and White Realm, forcing Wenren Hai to retreat once more. This time, a thin line of blood appeared on Wenren Hai's cheek. A chilling intensity blazed in his eyes, urging him to attack again, but his legs remained rooted to the spot. Glancing down, he discovered a immobilization talisman affixed to his chest. Li Wei had seized the opportunity when Tang Wanzhou's sword shattered Wenren Tinghai's protective spiritual qi, swiftly casting the all-secret incantation immobilization talisman. By the time Wenren Tinghai looked up again, the jade boat had already streaked across the sky like a meteor. Sizzle. The immobilization talisman on his chest instantly burned to ashes. Snow drifted down, blanketing the earth in white. The 14 swords of immortal slaughter and divine snow. To think they could actually wound me. Well done, young Lord Tang Wanzhou of the Northern Territory. Wenren Tinghai gathered the rubbings scattered on the ground one by one. He touched the wound on his cheek, brought the blood to his lips, and tasted it. So my blood is no different from that of other humans. It tastes the same. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6. Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 13 554 Sea Dragon City. 13th of Volume 6. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. The jade boat sped across the East Sea. Since the revival of the immortal Dao Dragon Meridian, this once treacherous expanse of ocean had become surprisingly safer due to the influx of martial mystic cultivators from various realms. Demon beasts in the sea no longer dared to indiscriminately attack passing humans, fearing to provoke powerful cultivators they couldn't afford to antagonize. Meanwhile, the Calamity Crossing Temple, Rice Palace, and Thundercloud Sect, which occupied the three islands, were reshaping the maritime order. It was only a matter of time before the East Sea and its surrounding lands evolved into a vast life realm, though internal power divisions remained a challenge. This all hinged on whether the Nether Realm of the Dead would allow them to carve out territory without resistance. Tang Wanzhou sat on the ship's railing, holding the divine snow sword as she repeatedly polished it. She stared intently at the cold glint of the blade, her eyes burning with battle intent and murderous intent. Suddenly, she said, I couldn't overcome a single realm to fight an imperial disciple. My strongest strike only drew a shallow cut. Qin Zhengyang's strength can't be much weaker than Wenren Tinghai's. Li Wei, standing at the ship's bow, glanced back at her, sensing her inner turmoil. He's an imperial disciple, one of the most exceptional talents in the world. You wounded him with a strike that crossed realms. Do you realize the blow you dealt to his pride? Do you know how crestfallen the demon monarch of the demon kingdom looked? Besides, you're still young, while he's already lived for ages. Moreover, the deputy sentinel lord gave us 20 years. There's no need to rush. Let's go to Dragon City this time as a nostalgic visit. We can relax and enjoy ourselves. She remained noncommittal, continuing to examine the sword's edge from various angles. After a long moment, Tang Wanzhou abruptly stood up. The divine snow sword gleamed brilliantly in the sunlight as her gaze swept across the boundless azure sea. I've made my decision. I will go to Dragon City and personally slay Qin Zhengyang. This will be an unprecedented trial for my inner self. If I succeed, my resolve will become as unshakable as bedrock, impervious to any force. My confidence and sharpness will not be dulled here. Instead, my spirit will be further tempered, allowing me to shatter the 7 immortal shackles with overwhelming force and reach the other shore. Li Wei gazed at Tang Wanzhou's sharply defined, beautiful profile. Half of her hair shone black, the other half gold in the sunlight, her figure both proud and exquisitely graceful. Tang Wanzhou took a deep breath. Don't think I'm acting out of spite. I genuinely have greater confidence now. First, Qin Zhengyang would never expect the cave void Dongshu camp to dare such an operation after 3 consecutive defeats. Second, Qin Zhengyang can't possibly be stronger than Wenren Tinghai. If I could break through Wenren Tinghai's defenses with a single strike, I can certainly wound him as well. Third, I'm not going for a duel, but an assassination. A swift, unexpected strike to end him in one blow. Fourth, your immobilization talisman is remarkable. It actually managed to freeze Wenren Tinghai for a moment. That instant is crucial. I don't need your help, but could you give me one of those talismans? Li Wei, who had been watching her expression intently, chuckled. You know, without you, the Lingxiao realm would just be a desolate land ravaged by over a decade of war. A place where people prey on each other, everyone weeping and struggling, suffering and compromising. The capable ones become thieves, drifting with the tide and plundering in the chaos. Even the most responsible among them harbor pessimism and uncertainty about the future. But because of you, I see vibrant vitality, the kind of sunlight that illuminates the earth with such fervor that it turns the sacred snow of the Northern Territory into shimmering gold, beautiful and majestic. The snow remains there, bathed in sunlight on the mountain peaks, yet it never melts, standing aloof from the world. Tang Wanzhou, sensing Li Wei's flattery and mockery, sheathed her sword back into head ancestral field. Well said. Make sure you say the same to Zhuoqiu Hongting in the future. Li Weiyi's smile faded, recognizing that Tang Wanzhou was now making a life or death decision. He said solemnly, with my current psychic power, the immobilization talismans I can craft aren't strong enough. I'll strive to break through to become a holy spiritual master before the Lantern Festival and create more potent talismans. If everything goes well. From then on, Tang Wanzhou steered the jade boat while Li Weiyi wove a time cocoon, seizing every moment to refine his heavenly surge soul. She stood resolutely at the bow, her gaze growing increasingly calm, a faint smile playing on her lips. Propelling the jade boat with the immortal realm cultivation, they traversed 30,000 miles in just 2 days, arriving at Dragon City. The ancient immortal burial ground, once submerged beneath the East Sea, was vast. Over 3,000 miles of its land had risen above the surface, forming the largest island in the East Sea. This exposed land rivaled the ancient immortal sacred realm in scale. In many areas, the soil possessed 30% of the spiritual energy of spiritual soil, surpassing even the cloud heaven immortal plane. It could be called barren spiritual soil. On such a vast island, countless medicinal fields could be cultivated, and countless sects could be established. Li Weiyi and Tang Wanzhou were deeply shocked when they arrived at Dragon Island, which had only emerged a few months prior. How could a space deep beneath the East Sea suddenly rise to the surface? What kind of divine power could accomplish such a feat? The heaven and earth's spiritual qi here is incredibly dense, Tang Wanzhou observed. This must be the core region where the immortal Dao dragon vein is reviving. In 1,000 years, the barren spiritual soil on this island will likely evolve into true spiritual soil, transforming this place into a spiritual realm. Li Weiyi noticed numerous ships approaching Dragon Island, and extensive construction was underway in many areas, with formations being established and large numbers of demon beasts and martial mystic cultivators guarding the island. Having already stowed the jade boat, the two continued their journey by carriage. In the distance, Li Weiyi spotted the 9-ring reef. The 9 reefs that had once barely breached the sea's surface had now transformed into 9 towering peaks, each soaring 10,000 meters into the sky. They pierced the horizon like celestial pillars, their summits shrouded in mist and clouds. At the foot of the 9 peaks stood a colossal boulder. Inscribed upon it in bold, sweeping strokes were the characters, Dragon Island Calamity Crossing. Martial mystic cultivators passing by mentioned that this monument had been personally carved and transported by the martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor from the Calamity Crossing Temple. From that day forward, the 9 peaks became the temple's Taoist training ground on Dragon Island. The immortal tomb, where the remains of an ancient immortal dragon lay buried, had been seized by the Rice Palace. From a distance, it resembled a dormant volcano with a cratered summit. Tens of thousands of martial mystic cultivators from the Bright Rice realm, along with hundreds of thousands of laborers and dead spirits, tirelessly transported supplies up the mountain. Rumor had it that the immortal tomb would serve as the foundation for the Rice Mother Tower, the 5th palace altar of the Rice Palace. The towering, mountain-like walls of Dragon City emerged on the horizon. Countless demon beasts toiled day and night, repairing breaches in the city's defenses. Like the ancient immortal burial ground, only a fraction of Dragon City rose above the waves, the greater part extended beneath the sea. This submerged portion was the domain of the East Sea demon beasts. The land-based districts, however, were primarily inhabited by humans. The soldiers guarding the city gate were from the Zhuoqiu sect of the Lingxiao realm. Li Weiyi presented the Zhu Li clan's waste token, and they were granted passage without paying any fees. From the guards, they learned that Thousand Mile Mountain was currently constructing the Dragon City Heavenly Pavilion. Several months had passed. While most of Dragon City remained in ruins, the area near the city gate showed signs of revitalization, with bustling crowds filling some streets. Spiritual artifact-based structures dominated the landscape, and various shops had already opened for business. Have you heard? The Sword Dao Imperial Court has officially entered the fray. In the northeastern region of the Lingxiao realm, they used their heaven-defying methods to restore 3 ancient prefectures swallowed by darkness to the light in a single stroke. The Snow Sword Tang Court's armies are already clashing with the dead spirit evil entities in those 3 prefectures. The Sword Dao Imperial Court is clearly trying to meddle in the East Sea and seize control of the immortal Dao dragon vein. Rumor has it that Meng Kui discovered a small section of the phoenix tree's root in an underground space somewhere in the East Sea. Wenren Tinghai seems to have made a major discovery as well, having ventured into another underground space. The sea beneath this region where the immortal Dao dragon vein is reviving must be teeming with opportunities, but it's far too dangerous. Without immortal realm cultivation, going down there would be suicide. A cacophony of voices filled the air, each vying for attention. Li Weiyi and Tang Wanzhou moved forward, listening to the murmurs around them. The Dragon City Heavenly Pavilion, built by Thousand Mile Mountain, was a myriad inscriptions artifact forged directly into existence. Comprising 10 palaces and 10 pavilions, it sprawled across a vast area, its exterior gleaming with gold and jade, its dragon pillars rising like a dense forest. At that moment, countless skilled artisans, summoned from the Lingxiao realm and rainforest living realm, were busily completing the interior decorations, planting spiritual wood, and excavating lakes, every detail meticulously crafted and refined. Li Wei glanced at Tang Wanzhou, signaling her to wait outside. Be ready to assist immediately if anything goes wrong, he instructed, just in case. Then, he strode forward, projecting the aura of a 9-star spiritual master to gain access to the pavilion's administrator. His formidable cultivation served as a passport to respect and a key to resolving any issues. The administrator, also a 9-star spiritual master, was an elderly man with white hair and a warm smile. He informed Li Wei that the heavenly pavilion had not yet officially opened. I'm here to see third young master Lu, Li Wei stated. The administrator's smile froze as he scrutinized Li Wei. May I ask how you knew third young master Lu was in Dragon City? We made arrangements over 3 months ago, Li Wei replied. Ah, so you're the honored guest third young master Lu specifically instructed us to welcome. Please, come inside. The administrator bowed slightly, his demeanor growing even more respectful as he led Li Wei into the pavilion's interior. Simultaneously, he sent a psychic message to Lu Jingshan, informing him of the visitor's arrival. One of the 10 palaces and 10 pavilions of Dragon City's heavenly pavilion had been fully decorated, planted with exotic herbs, and arranged with qi-gathering and spirit-nourishing formations. The vegetation grew at an astonishing rate, filling the air with a refreshing fragrance. The maids who moved about were all chosen for their exceptional beauty and grace, 1 in 1,000. Lu Jingshan hurried over, his gaze lingering on Li Wei's youthful appearance, now in his early 30s. He hesitated for a moment, but when their eyes met, his face broke into a wide grin. Old Shah, you may withdraw. Instruct the kitchen to prepare our finest dishes and serve our best wine. I'm hosting an honored guest. After the elderly steward retreated, Lu Jingshan embraced Li Wei warmly, then complained, You've kept me waiting so long. I almost thought I'd never get rid of this holy spiritual pill. I had some urgent matters to attend to, Li Wei replied with a smile. Lu Jingshan lowered his voice conspiratorially. You know, I didn't realize how deep this rabbit hole went until I started digging. I know who you are now, but what truly shocked me was yours background. Was our escape from Xie Wumian and Luo Pingdan her doing? You haven't revealed any of this to anyone, have you? Li Wei asked. Do you think I've lived this long without learning discretion? Lu Jingshan retorted. Cross her, and Thousand Mile Mountain won't dare show its face in the Lingxiao realm or the East Sea again. No one could save me. But if I can seize this rare connection, the benefits will be immeasurable. I've told one person about you, but Yuer's secrets are buried deep within me. Speaking of Yuer. Li Wei feigned a warning tone, how dare you address her so casually? Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6. Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 14 555 Chief Scribe of the Earth Ranking. 14th of Volume 6. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Lu Jingshan quickly clapped his hand over his mouth. Don't tell the Grand Palace Master. I was planning to offer her a carefully chosen tribute when I see her next. I don't want to end up offering my own head instead. I'm just teasing you, Li Wei said, the Grand Palace Master isn't that petty. Lu Jingshan dared not ask further about the Grand Palace Master. He grabbed Li Wei's wrist and pulled him toward the stairs. Come on, I want you to meet someone. The pavilion stood 100 jong tall, its peak crowned with a hip and gable-roofed pavilion offering panoramic views of Dragon City. Lu Jingshan bore a striking resemblance to Lu Jingshan, appearing to be in his early 30s. His eyes held a deep, unwavering calm, and his presence exuded an extraordinary dignity, like a towering mountain or a bottomless abyss. He scrutinized Li Wei, who had followed Lu Jingshan up the stairs, his expression stern and unsmiling. Clasping his hands in a formal greeting, he said, Lu Jingshan of 10,000 Mile Tower, Jingshen's second brother. Li Wei sensed an unusual qi field emanating from this man. He returned the greeting, Li Wei. Lu Jingshan said, Brother Li, since you saved my third brother's life and have been admitted to the heavenly pavilion, you can lower your guard completely. Anyone who dares harm you will have to think twice. Including the Tai Yin sect. Li Wei asked. Lu Jingshan understood Li Wei's meaning and sighed softly. It was my opponent from 10,000 Mile Tower who hired the Tai Yin sect to capture Jing Shen, hoping to force my hand. Now that I'm here, there's no need to worry about that anymore. Li Wei dispelled his disguise technique and removed his false beard. A line of graceful maidens entered, bearing fine wines and delicacies, which they arranged on the table. Lu Jingshan sat with his back ramrod straight, his innate arrogance radiating from him. When Jing Shen first told me about you, I couldn't believe such a person existed, one who would uphold righteousness in the face of wealth, return to danger after escaping, and risk his life to save others. I initially suspected it was another scheme, either a conspiracy or a ploy for greater gain. But after investigating your deeds, all my doubts vanished, leaving only admiration. Thousand Mile Mountain's influence spans the world. Even your actions in Li Prefecture are known to me in detail. You might have forgotten yourself, but at the Chang'an gang's headquarters, you rescued many young girls and children, some of whom were later recruited into Thousand Mile Mountain. Your delay in saving them allowed the Six Desires Dharma King and the Sui sect to corner you, and you barely escaped with your life. As for your extraordinary courage on the Ji Prefecture River, in Chu Prefecture City, and in Lingxiao City, I, Lu Jingchen, admit I could never match it. Precisely because I cannot, I admire you. If you keep praising me like this, I'll lose all sense of reality, Li Wei said with a smile. Lu Jingchen replied, look at my second brother's cold and taciturn demeanor. Does he seem like someone who would easily say such things? For him to utter those words against his will, each syllable would feel like a sword piercing his heart. Lu Jingchen gazed intently at Li Wei for a long moment. Brother Li, if you trust Thousand Mile Mountain, the Lu clan, and us brothers, would you invite your companion to join us for a drink? Li Wei was surprised. How did second young master Lu know I wasn't alone? Lu Jingchen explained, you carry a unique aura that hasn't yet dissipated. Really? I've always been careful to eliminate any scent trails. I took precautions when I entered, Li Wei said. It's not about scent, but rather aura, chi field, vital energy, and divine essence. Lu Jingchen spoke without false modesty. Since childhood, I possessed an extraordinary gift, the ability to practice divine observation and chi gazing. Every person carries a unique aura, mysterious and profound, perceptible but indescribable. What kind of aura do I have? Li Wei asked. Lu Jingchen replied, Brother Li has returned to his true nature, making him impossible to see through. Among the younger generation, I've witnessed countless extraordinary auras, some grand and majestic, others bizarre and fantastical. But I've never encountered one quite like yours before. Now that the truth was out, there was no point in hiding it. Li Wei sent a telepathic message to Tang Wanzhou. Moments later, Lu Jingchen personally descended and brought her up. Li Wei and Lu Jingchen sat at the table, their conversation having just turned to the 10,000-mile tower. Lu Jingchen said, the 10,000-mile tower is like the Zhu hidden sect. Only martial mystic cultivators who have reached a certain level know of our existence. 1,000-mile mountain earns the money, while the 10,000-mile tower guards it. 1,000-mile mountain recruits 1 in 1,000. To enter the 10,000-mile tower, you must be 1 in 10,000. Li Wei asked, if I may be so bold, who is second young master Lu's rival within the 10,000-mile tower? I've already dealt with him. I won the competition. His resorting to such underhanded tactics by seeking help from the Tai Yin sect was nothing more than a desperate act. Using such methods against his own people deserves death, Lu Jingchen declared. Tang Wanzhou removed her mask, revealing a strikingly beautiful and cold face. She sat beside Li Wei, facing Lu Jingchen directly, and asked, the 10,000-mile tower has 3 great contests, vying for heaven, earth, and the Liangzhu pillars. May I ask which you triumphed in? Lu Jingchen gazed intently at Tang Wanzhou, his eyes growing brighter, as if he had discovered a rare treasure. He rose and said, this humble one merely won the position of chief scribe for the earth ranking. Second brother actually showed humility for once, much to Lu Jingchen's surprise. Tang Wanzhou said, judging by the timing, 10,000-mile tower should be compiling the Immortal Realm Heavenly Ranking and the Immortal Realm Earthly Ranking. The chief scribe position of the Heavenly Ranking is being fiercely contested by several senior Earth Ranking scribes. Liang Zhu's victory was the final struggle before his transcendent breakthrough. It seems you're the strongest of your generation in southern Yingzhou. Li Wei asked, what are the heavenly and earthly rankings? Lu Jingchen took over the explanation. The Immortal Realm Earthly Ranking records the top Immortal Realm martial mystic cultivators under 100 years old from southern Yingzhou's 172 living realms. The Immortal Realm Heavenly Ranking, of course, has no age restrictions and is based solely on cultivation strength. Both rankings are compiled in preparation for the Crossing the Other Shore competition 6 years from now. Lu Jingchen's gaze remained fixed on Tang Wanzhou. Please forgive my lack of introduction. May I venture a guess that the person sitting across from me is the young lord of the Northern Territories Lingxiao Life Realm? Tang Wanzhou replied, not bad for an earth-ranking scribe, you have some skill. How did you figure it out? Such divine essence and bearing. Among the young women of the world, there aren't 3 who possess such qualities. That gave me 70% certainty. Lu Jingchen continued, your aura is vast and imposing, yet bone-chillingly cold and relentlessly sharp, like the towering snow-capped mountains of the Northern Territory. The 14 swords of immortal slaughter and divine snow have long been on my shortlist. 30% of my reason for coming to the East Sea was to find you. Your progress has been too rapid, I couldn't determine the extent of your current strength or where you should be ranked without seeing you in person. Li Wei turned to Lu Jingshan. Didn't you say second brother Lu was aloof and taciturn, praising others as if stabbing himself with a sword? Lu Jingshan looked slightly embarrassed, feeling his second brother was acting out of character today. He chuckled, no amount of praise would be too much for the young lord. Lu Jingshan then introduced himself to Tang Wanzhou. Li Wei's mind raced, recalling Tang Wanzhou's purpose in coming to Dragon City. Xie Wumian and Luo Pingdan are utterly detestable, but I heard they rank last among the 12 Tai Yin envoys. If they're the weakest at that level of power, how terrifyingly strong must the Zhongwu envoy, Qin Zhengyang, be? Since Lu Jingshan was the chief scribe of the Earth ranking, all the intelligence from 1000-Mile Mountain and 10,000-Mile Tower would undoubtedly converge on him. Only by thoroughly understanding one's enemies could misjudgments be avoided. Tang Wanzhou grasped the point immediately and added, Qin Zhengyang likely wouldn't lose to any heavenly emperor's disciple at the same cultivation realm. She emphasized this point, testing the waters. Lu Jingshan was drawn into the conversation as expected. Xie Wumian and Luo Pingdan are weak not because of their talent, but because they're the youngest, barely over 60 years old. Qin Zhengyang, on the other hand, is already 86. The young lord's assessment is slightly off. Though Qin Zhengyang is hailed as the young heavenly emperor in the Dao Seed realm, he only cultivated 99% of the immortal body, missing the final breath. Moreover, because his cultivation law is excessively young, yet he spends years in the nether realm of the dead, the environment has taken its toll, leaving him with an incurable wound in his cultivation. Li Wei remarked, he certainly deserves it. I wonder where exactly he was wounded. Some say it's his soul spirit, others his qi. Once he arrives in Dragon City, I'll personally test his strength to see where he ranks, Lu Jingshan replied. Li Wei feigned surprise, he's coming to Dragon City. Brother Li, there's no need to panic. The Tai Yin sect's mission to deal with Jing Shen has been cancelled due to the client's death, Lu Jingshan assured him. Knowing Lu Jingshan's shrewdness, Li Wei refrained from pressing further. After all, 1000-Mile Mountain maintained strict neutrality, avoiding conflict. If Lu Jingshan learned of Tang Wanzhou's assassination plot against Qin Zhengyang, he would likely distance himself from them, perhaps even cancel his own plans to probe Qin Zhengyang. Only by having Lu Jingshan probe Qin Zhengyang could they gather more useful intelligence. Lu Jingshan was exceedingly busy. Upon receiving a telepathic report from a scribe attending the banquet, he hastily departed before the feast concluded. At Lu Jingshan's repeated insistence, Li Wei and Tang Wanzhou temporarily lodged at the heavenly pavilion. Clutching the jade box containing the elixir given by Lu Jingshan, Li Wei and Tang Wanzhou walked toward their quarters, communicating telepathically. Tang Wanzhou's expression was grave. The information gleaned from Lu Jingshan revealed Qin Zhengyang's formidable strength, a mortal body at 99% of the Dao Seed realm, a feat of cultivation beyond ordinary mortals. To assassinate such a figure, even across a single realm, would be as difficult as ascending to heaven. Moreover, dead spirit powerhouses might be lurking in the shadows, accompanying him. Don't worry, Tang Wanzhou reassured Li Wei, if there's truly no opportunity, I'll abandon the plan. But until then, I'll exhaust every effort to assess our chances before deciding whether to advance or retreat. Tang Wanzhou followed Li Wei through the doorway, and the door closed behind them. Lu Jingshan, who had witnessed this from afar, froze in his tracks, his eyes nearly bulging out of their sockets. Despite having prepared accommodations for the young lord of the Northern Territory, she had entered Li Wei's room as naturally as if it were a routine occurrence. Clearly, this wasn't their first time. The next morning, Lu Jingshan kept a close watch. He saw Tang Wanzhou, wearing a mask, emerge from Li Wei's room and leave the heavenly pavilion alone. Heavens! That's Zhuoqiu Hongting's fiancé. Aren't the Zhuoqiu clan and the Snow Sword Tang court locked in a bitter rivalry in the Lingxiao life realm? If this news gets out, all hell will break loose. Lu Jingshan immediately issued a gag order within the heavenly pavilion. For the next 3 days, Tang Wanzhou left early and returned late, immersed in preparations for the upcoming battle. At night, she ventured into the blood-mud space to cultivate within the cocoon of time alongside Li Wei. Each morning, after watching Tang Wanzhou disappear down the street, Lu Jingshan would sigh repeatedly before ordering nourishing tonics to be prepared and delivered to Li Wei's room. Every time, the dishes were emptied completely, as if they had been licked clean. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.